Welcome to Warrior Class,
where the teachers will pass.
and you will too if you pass. All right, this is episode 7. We're getting there. Soon we ain't gonna be able to count them, but it's funny. 7 is the number of Ogun, and the topic that we're dealing with today. This is a warrior's guide to dealing with death. Okay. Let me deal with that 7 real quick. So some people, I deal with Isheshe, which is traditional Ifa from the Yoruba people. We deal with Isheshe. There are some other offshoots that will say Ogun's number, or people who train, and they got kind of like a mixture, or they first trained in they'll say Ogun's number is 4. There's nothing in the Odu to support that, but there is things in the Odu to support that his number is 7. Okay. People will say, well, because he hits you with his weapon, he breaks you into 7 pieces, and things of that nature. It's deeper than that, but and maybe we'll deal with that one day. We'll deal with warrior spirituality or something like that. I won't go so far into it right now, but just know his number is 7. This is our 7th episode, and it was not planned.
Nope.
Just realize that, really right now. But this is a heavy topic we're dealing with today. A warrior's guide to dealing with death. If it's better for you, you can call it life after death, right? But it's dealing with death. How do we handle that as warriors? As warriors, if you're serious about that, about being a warrior, one who protects what they love and themselves. I hope you love yourself. If you can't love you don't love yourself, you can't really love anybody else. Then know that death can visit you in different ways. It can visit you as far as you facing death. You may see comrades die, loved ones die. During this time of a global pandemic, we've seen many people die, in addition to folks just dying anyway, depending on how our life is. 5 great martial artists who I know have died from COVID-19, they say. Okay. This year alone, 2 of my cousins were murdered. I even had to deal with the murder of my own father in 2013, October 16, 2013. And the thought is always with me because that's also the day his mother, my grandmother, my father's mother, died on October 16th. No, that's her birthday, excuse me. And that's the day he left in the physical form, right? People say transition. One time I was on that, I was teaching some students. And I said, I'd like to let you all know that so-and-so has died. 2 young students said, transitioned. I said, okay, yes, you've been taught the transition, but what I would suggest not to be so harsh and so forthright and so full of justice. And I'm with your chest out. I just had to tell them, I'm their teacher, that you would look down on those who would call it death. I know the word transition. I said it exactly the way I wanted to be said. And I'll talk with your parents about that. I won't go any further with you. Sometimes the parents say, we teach our children transition because, you can still talk to your ancestors. I said, you think I don't know that? It's what I do. I know that. But when you're dealing with issues of war, when our family members are taken from us, that person's not thinking about, I'm going to be talking to them in the spirit realm. They may think about that later, and we're going to deal with the different phases of grief, dealing with death. But they're not, I mean, it's not good form to tell somebody, well, you know, you're going to talk to them later through the ancestral realm. Let me tell you to kiss their ass.
Right.
They may even believe in that.
Right.
They might even believe in that. But, they believe in death, because death will visit us all. There's a spirit of death called Iku. Iku will visit all of us one day.
And you felt that. Everybody has felt that spirit of death at some point, and it
Absolutely.
didn't feel like the spirit of transition.
Right. It ain't no nice thing.
Like transitioning was coming. It
right.
felt like death is coming.
Like, ooh, I had a move, like you moved to a new apartment. You know, death is serious.
I was in McDonald's in Greenbrier in the drive-thru. I felt death coming.
Right.
Hey. It didn't feel like a transition. It felt like death was coming 2 cars behind me.
I had a situation where I'm sitting at my computer in my office, and I felt death in my knees. That's where it hits me at. I felt it's a certain feeling in my knees. I said, God, this just hurt. And I knew then. So I immediately looked up in the kitchen. And luckily they were little boys. Some little boys had stuck their hands all the way in our kitchen door and were trying to unlock it and slide it open. They couldn't see me. I said, what the hell y'all doing? Then they hauled ass.
So the death you felt.
The death was their death.
I know you was about to say that. That's why I knew it was coming.
So I said, oh my God. And when they left, that's when that shit went away. So I called Yalagoon, my wife, and she was angry. She said, well, we knew who the boys were. She said, go down there and talk with their parents, you know. So I said, okay. I'm talking to her while I go down there and talk to them. I said, ma'am, your sons came into my house. We're trying to come into my house. But lucky, I was sitting there and lucky they're children. I said, because I looked first. If it had been adult, the next thing was going to be, I was going to grab what I need to grab, and I was going to end all of that. She said, hold on. Hey, y'all, did y'all try to go in that man's house? Like they're going to say, oh, yeah. They said no. She said, they said no. My wife flipped out.
Yeah, right. I just told you.
Right. She said, what she say? This broad say? My wife hardly curses like that and calling another woman broad. She was mad.
She get real mad that line come out.
Yeah. And so normally I own multicultural botanica. She real fancy with it, but right. It was a rap then, right? And so much so the women got scared. And like, did you go in his house? Well, we tried to, but he caught us. Y'all only play in the backyard from now on. That's all that happened to him. I said, ma'am, you know, I'm not here for you to whoop their behind or whatever, but you probably need to do a little bit more teaching and to tell them to stay in their backyard.
What could have just happened.
Right.
Like, how serious it was. They didn't feel the seriousness.
Right. Because they didn't feel death. And you know, I hope they never know what that feels like until later, because once again, we all going to feel it one day. But they didn't know how close they were to what could have happened, because had I been asleep and just woke up and heard they were stepping in, it'd have been a bad day, right? So just that feeling will be there. That is Iku, and that Iku is death, and Iku comes for us all. We're a species born to die. We're all born to die. Now, there's nothing to say we all gonna be rich. There's nothing to say we all gonna be married. There's nothing to say we all gonna have children. There's nothing to say we all gonna have justice and freedom. We all gonna die. That's guaranteed. So we're a species born to die, if nothing else.
Sorry.
When I told you that sister said, you know, I don't want to do nothing. Only human being I ever, all her life, I've known since she was 6. She 30-something years old now. And she said, all her life, she said, I don't want to do nothing. Her mother wants her to get married. I don't want to get married. And she's bold enough to say that's doing something. She doesn't want to do nothing. There are 3 reasons why human beings come to the earth. And then 3 things they do within that. We come to do something, to do nothing, or to observe. Okay? And then within that, we have leaders, we have followers, and we have neutral folks who also just observe. Okay?
Interesting.
So you have leaders in doing nothing. Well, I think she's one. She's the only person I've ever met who has been consistent. Even little children tell, I want to be a doctor. I want to be, even they may say a damn cop. That sucks, but at least they wanted to do something. She would say as a child, I don't want to do nothing. But if she sticks to that all her days are still numbered. You may not want to do nothing, but the one thing you're gonna do is die. So we're beings made to do that. So we should learn then how to handle that, because it's going to always be there with us. Death is going to always be there. Before we leave here, we're going to see others go. As I get older, classmates are leaving here. Family members leaving here. On my mother's side, we really only go 2 ways. That's heart attack or murder. It's bad.
Man.
That's the only 2 ways we go. Oh, and car accidents.
You're gonna make an exception though. You're just gonna close your eyes one day at 400 years old.
Well, you probably told me that I'm gonna live to see my grandchildren grow old. But when I was older, I probably would leave it by heart attack. I hope it's not the car accident or a murder. But I saw myself leaving here. I said. And I saw myself beating the odds with my family, but I saw myself leaving here at 33 years of age. I beat that by 20 years already. I saw myself leaving here in a fight with somebody as good as I am at war, somebody as skilled as I am. And we would fight, and I would be happy going out like that. It would be the fight talked about of the centuries. Some white man, they'd be like, Balagoon brought it to that white man, but that white man brought it. But in the end, Balagoon killed him first, and then I go sit down, drink me a little water, and leave. That's how I saw it happening. I envisioned the whole thing, and I sat down my first divination. The priest said, "You're not going to die young." It freaked me out. The priest said also disappointed me because he wanted to leave it, going out with the good fight. But the priest said, you think you're going to die early in war, and you're not. You're going to grow old. You're going to grow to see your grandchildren grow old. You're going to live to see your grandchildren. I was like, what? And then after that, I was also afraid one day a student would betray me and try to kill me. And one had tried years before. This priest didn't know this. This is what made me believe in Ifa. Why I've been dealing with it for decades now. And he said one day, I said, you're afraid of a student betraying you, trying to kill you. He said, but they'll never be successful. That's not how you're going to leave either. I didn't feel that's how I was going to leave, but it was in my mind like one. He said they're not going to be successful even when they try to do that. That don't mean you be careful because you've been told that you still be careful. And the reason why, so if I may tell you that may mean because you're going to be real careful and smarter than you were in how you pick students. Okay. And we have to be smart in all we do. The partner that we're with, the students that we choose, because once again, death is always with us. You don't want to stack the deck against yourself.
Especially when you get to a certain age. Just trying to call you then.
Man, so it is believed that before you're 42 years old, this world works on your behalf. It's really trying to make things happen for you because you're the vessel by which the ancestors come into this world. Okay, so they're happy to make things happen for you as long as your thinking is positive, is in the right direction, right? Because we can destroy our Ori is a god. Your head is a God. It's the closest thing to God that we've ever met. It's the closest thing to your guardian angel, your own head. And it could destroy you if it's thinking the wrong way. When you're asking questions the wrong way. You're asking for what you want the wrong way. So you can cause your own demise. You know, people say, well, you know, we can't determine when we die. Yeah, sure you can. You can't determine when you're supposed to die.
Right.
You can determine when you die. If you run out in that street in front of a car and it tears that ass up, right, you determine that you're going to leave here before your time. So you can shorten your time.
So you run up on me.
Oh, yeah, you know, hey, you run up on Belay, you shorten your time. Belay is a whirlwind of death. So don't, you know, so come on over, Ominiki over there and Josh, you snuck in here and we're gonna slide and let Ominiki in now. So that's my white patient. She late family. Greetings. And she asked, she comes in late, and I was like, "Come on in." Yeah, exactly. Come on in. Come on in. I was just saying that to her, right? So we're dealing with death, the Warrior's Guide to Death. Billy said that'd make a good book, so maybe I'll do it. I think it will, but that's a heavy topic. Wow. Yeah. But it's something that we all need to deal with. As warriors, we need to deal with that. How can you say you're a warrior and you're not dealing with that? A lot of times we play, you know, damn near every conscious man I know say he's a warrior. Mm-hmm. But when you face him with death, things may change a little bit. You must get shook a little bit. Mm-hmm. I had a student one day. A sister brings a student to me when I was teaching at this school, and all the sisters brought the bad children to me. I'm like, damn, I'm not a counselor. I'm a teacher. But I understood why. And she brings this boy because he told the children, the other students and the teacher. She said, did you do your assignment? I don't care about no assignment. I got a tombstone with my name on it. Wow. And so she brought him to me. I said, no, you got a tombstone with your name on it? Yeah, I ain't trying to do nothing. So I'm gonna end up dying. That's also a person. Maybe he came to do nothing. I don't know. Yeah. He did something after that though. So I said, you got a tombstone with your name on him, you're gonna die. Yeah, man, I'll be dead by the time he was 11. I'll be dead by the time I'm 15, 16. It was sad. I said, well, yeah, why you waiting so long? You sure you're gonna die? Let's send you there now. He said, what? I grabbed him, I put him in a wrist lock. And he ow! And people say, what you put him in a wrist lock for? I said, and he cried, let me go. I said, well, why let you go? Your wrist don't mean nothing. You're going to die soon, right? So let's go ahead, come on. Now, some of you may say, well, damn, you traumatized. I couldn't traumatize him worse. Right. I said, why are you crying about that, boy? I said, this little wrist lock, I said, or when the teacher leaves, I can snap your neck for you. Because you say you got a tombstone with your name on it. God damn. Well, let's put you there then. Because why you wait? Right. I said, death ain't just, calm and you ain't feeling nothing. It's gonna be painful. I said, you ever seen a person die? You ever seen a person die, son? You ever seen the look on their face? They leave here fighting because it's not comfortable. I said, but I can let you go if that ain't really what you want to do. If you really don't want to die, he said, you think about it, death is pain. I said, yeah, death is pain. Afterwards, you ain't feeling no more pain, though. So, once you die, you ain't got to worry about this little bit of pain right here. He said, yeah, just let me go. I let him go. He put his head on me. I patted him. He ran over to his teacher, hugged her. And she patted him, looked back at me and said, thank you. He never had that issue again. He never talked that again. In fact, his parents thanked me. People said, lucky, they ain't get mad. I'm there for him. Right. Now, I would say if you want your child to get patted up, and maybe that'll heal him too. I don't know. Don't bring him to me.
that ain't what you do.
Right now,
what are you dealing with?
They know I deal when we doing martial arts. My 12-year-old, I say, don't hurt my baby now. I still let them do what they got to do, and I really, if she got tapped a little bit, that's cool. But don't just jack my baby up. He broke my son's foot. You know,
accident.
It was an accident, you know, and I didn't, you know, I was fine. I actually put his ankle in the line too. Right. So you can feel exactly where my son was feeling it. But I'm like this, man. So there's a time to be gentle. We've heard the thing people say, Iwakwele. Iwakwele is not what we should always have. That's gentle character. That's only with your loved ones. Okay, your comrades, your loved one. With your enemy, you don't have Iwakwele. You have Iwarere, balanced character. Sometimes you have to show your teeth. Sometimes you don't. Okay, you have good character. That's Iwarere. Rere is blessings. Ire. So good character you have. The whole thing about Iwakwele, where that became popular at, so people know, it became popular from a man named David Wilson, white man named David Wilson, who wrote a book called Iwakwele.
That's not that same white man.
And he called himself Awo Falokun. I'll say it. And if he's watching, listen to me closely so you know, because we all have characters and you have a character about yourself, sir. We have Iwa character, okay? And white people have a certain character. Is it not good for us to have good, for a white person to tell us to have good, well, gentle character? Is that not a valuable tool for them to tell us to have good character? Come on with me now.
Be gentle. Go gentle.
But for us to have balanced character where we may show them our teeth sometime, oh, no. That's not strategic. It's strategic to tell us to have gentle character. And so we started saying that after his book. I'm telling y'all where that came from. I've been in this thing a long time. Yes, and he fortified that by writing the book Iwakwele. Yes, that's where that comes from.
Before we dive in, I want to say too, and this comes from you, that for you folks out there that do train, you know, you warriors that train and you deal with, you know, if you're dealing with death when you train, you're dealing with how to take somebody off of this earth. You know, one thing in our class is that it's not so uptight and serious, and you see we laugh here, you know, and that's important when you are dealing with training like that. Sometimes we don't even, and this I don't know this is, but sometimes you don't even realize, you don't think about what you're, because of how we're training, because we communicate and we're talking and stuff, you don't realize sometimes what you're really training. You know what you're doing, you know, but you don't really think of it as training to kill somebody. You just train it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what's funny, and kill somebody and keep yourself from being killed, right?
Yeah.
What's funny is a lot of people are shocked when they say, okay, you know, Baba Moon has a sense of humor, because they really believe that I sit somewhere in a dark room with my hands in a. I'm saying this because somebody said this to me. I sit in a dark room with my fist in broken glass, grinding, just waiting for somebody. Now, the person that told me that, I said, that dude is nutty in the loon to think this is what a martial artist would do. And I'm jacking myself up. I'm just grinding my hands in broken glass anyway. And I'm a family man. My family walk in there, even if the glass ain't there, I'm just sitting in the dark room. What's wrong? Being a warrior. They be like, Baba lost his mind. Daddy lost his mind. And my wife be like, babe, really? You all right?
You
know, that tells you more about him than it tells you about.
Of course. But so untrained people, and it's cool because most of us are untrained. They will think that you can't have a sense of humor, or they'll try to you pigeonholed as this. I've had this one brother called him and says, you know, I don't understand about Baba. he's got all this skill, but he also writing science fiction and fantasy and stuff. And what I told him was, I don't give a fuck what he said. His opinion to me is like me slapping his back. That because I can't be pigeonholed and I do what I enjoy, not just what I have to do for the movement, for my people. So if you are really a warrior and you dealing with death, possibility of dealing it or taking it, being it dealt to you, do what you also enjoy. Enjoy life too. My father insisted that me and my sisters, we also learn. He said, you're going to deal with the ugly. You also have to deal with the pretty. So we had to learn instruments. Right. We had to be creative writers. All of us write. All of us play instruments. You had to do things when I'm with my family. And that's also talking about that, that now there's Iwakwele, gentle character. Not saying that, me and my wife never argue or whatever. Very rarely now. I mean, we've been together so long, like, damn, we haven't matured and learned each other enough. So it's the good. I enjoy my marriage. You know what I mean? I enjoy my marriage. I had a priest tell me, who was teaching me at the time, who I've left, who was teaching me, everybody's marriage is going bad in the Elay, that's the house, but yours, you and the Yalagoons. I said, okay, well, I'm supposed to feel bad about that? That's for you to handle. That's not for me to, I hate that it's happening to them, but they got to work that out. It's for you and for them to handle. So we worked our thing out. You know what I mean? So I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy and she's happy. You say, well, how do you know? When people say that kind of stuff, that means they don't really understand happiness. How do you know your wife happy? That is so ridiculous.
You know when she's not?
Well, right, certainly. And y'all going to let me know when she's not happy, right?
And the funny thing is most the martial arts that I know that are on a high level, they usually all have a good sense of humor.
Because they know what they're dealing with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It takes that,
with special forces, excuse me real quick. In special forces, everybody in our group, special forces is a group, okay? Everybody in our group was funny as hell. Because you're dealing with death. And that's not giving them, just so you know, these mugs come in and after killing innocents, killing our babies and jobs, not saying that's what I did. I'm not saying I ever killed anyone. You never had me on nothing talking about I killed somebody for country, for God, for nothing else. But those people, after killing folks and teaching people to kill, the main mission of special forces is to train the indigenous people to kill their own people. They'll go and joke after that. And they're so charismatic teaching the people because they're also joking. They're joking because they know they're teaching you to deal death. And they're dealing death. And will deal more and more death. And so the balance is you gotta, or they be stark raving mad. You have to have a sense of humor. You see on Black Power Media, they joke because if not, the seriousness of the issues that they deal with on the Remix Morning Show and other things, we on Black Power Media, everything on there, their sense of humor and most of the things, if not, it's gonna be so depressing. Like and the people will suffer depression.
Keep from crying.
Yeah. Yes, you laugh to keep them crying, and you laugh because people are dying. Now, it would be inappropriate and probably nuts. Somebody died. Ooh, look at that fool died. There's some folks like that. They're crazy.
Yeah, that's a mental illness.
But afterwards, you find things to laugh about outside of that, right? When my father passed, when he died, when he transitions, however you want to, whatever you want to call it, he's no longer here in the physical. I worked. I wrote 3 books in the span of 3 months. 3 fiction books. I couldn't do a nonfiction book and 3 nonfiction books in 3 months, but I wrote 3 fiction books in 3 months. I was working night and day, and my wife let me do it because she knew that's how I was breathing. I wasn't able to go to his funeral because I had just had a stroke before that, and so I wasn't cleared to fly, or and definitely couldn't drive that another time, right, or ride another time. So I sent a message to his funeral for a tape that they played, and I will tell you what I did later as we go down here because it helps people handle death. Right?
There was one thing I wanted to say when you were talking about playing musical instruments, how your father had you to do that in the creative writing. One thing that I found was good when I first started training African martial arts, and that I plan to get back into, I actually just found out that they're doing it again, is taking African dance classes.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a really good thing to help you with your footwork also, and it's a lightness. It gives you a lightness,
Right.
And that's something that's definitely needed when you're a warrior.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, shoot, it's needed when you're not a warrior.
Right.
But and it also it gets you in shape, all of that. You know, me, our son, you know, he's a drummer. But at the time, he's drumming in college now. He plays the sex tuplets or whatever, the sing doo right. And his attraction to that drum came from him playing the djembe first. And me and my wife went with him to play the drum. And we all, I mean, started having a good time learning. I learned to play the djembe, which I'd always wanted to do all my life. And that was, you know, I did it then. We had the time and the excuse to do it. And it was a milestone for him because he was so out of rhythm that me and y'all was going like, man, our poor son, he's outside the rhythm of life. And that we got to take care of that some kind of way, because if you're moving outside the rhythm of life, your life is shorter than it needs to be. That's called being off your path. Being off your path, you know, your life is shortened, right? So we tried to, I mean, the same instructor met him at this school that he was going to at the time called Quilombo. He couldn't play nothing on beat. He said, you're going to just hit the triangle. Ting! We're going to play. Ting! They're going, ting! He said, no. Wait till he could not get it. And the brother said, you know, one day he's gonna get it. He's got to grow into it. He was 6 or 7, but he could throw a grown man. He could throw Iken Bobola, who at the time was 260 pounds, and he was 6, 7 years old. You met him when he was about 9, and he was training. He could do that. Now he could do that on rhythm, but I'm not paying attention to it because he couldn't get the music. He got that. And then it hit me one day, son. The same thing you're doing in class, the rhythm that you have to hit, because we fight on a rhythm and we try to break the other person's rhythm. Use that for the drum. And that's when he started playing. So he would just beat on the table. And we said, oh, he got it. He's getting the rhythm now. We started reckoning, okay, he's picking it up because he understands that. So we put him in drum class.
I didn't know that's how he learned how to play.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so that's why he wrote this paper, his biggest influence in life, and he named me. I was like, oh boy. His mom was like, hey, wait a minute, you know. But and he learned. He talks about how all his life, really, his musical influence and stuff like that, because I have an eclectical musical sense, right? So I listen to everything from classical to reggae to jazz to Fetty Wap, yep, to French to French house. You know, they playing French Kiwi Juice, which is a instrumentalist, a producer, and his friends are like, where, that's hot. Where you get that from? You know, so he gets that. He's playing Isley Brothers and Parliament Funkadelic. Where his friends like, where you get that from? They listen to Lil Yachty, and, you know, and he listens to that too because once again, it's eclectic, right? Now, some of this new stuff, I just ain't caught up with. Some of the rap stuff, I can't, you know, I can't. I'm an old school hip hop. Some of this newer stuff, you get to newer stuff like. And she really ain't new like Moo Fresh. That's hot. But when you get to stuff, some of the I just can't get with it. It's too much.
I'm gonna go live on stuff.
Lil Nas X and people like that.
I'm gonna go live and say for the record, I don't know who Moo Fresh is, and I'm upset. I'm upset that I don't know who Moo Fresh is, and you know.
Well, now you look her up today, and you'll know.
You already put me on one artist. I didn't even say his name because you ratchet. Oh.
Yeah, so, you know, and my wife would be like, babe, you listen to this? I said, I got to listen to all of it as long as I can understand it and stand it. You know. All right, so.
It's good to keep up with music, too, just as African people, too, I think, because we have to stay in step with our young people and not falling out of just pushing that music away and, you know, dismissing it. We're dismissing them in a way.
Right. Now, I'll say this. Some of the music that's given to our young people ain't by young people.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Now, so right. So a lot of that stuff, even if I be like, this is some bullshit. In my mind, I'm not going to say that to them. So they will say something. Now, the one thing I will do, if he's playing some stuff that's too much curse stuff and stuff like that, and his mama's in the car, I say, cut that off. I can deal with it. She could too, but I don't want.
Exactly.
You know, you respect your mama.
Respectful, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really not what she could do. It's about you got to show respect.
Right.
Recognize where you at. Right. Which, a lot of people, you know, my children, they can curse in front of me to a certain degree. Don't go just crazy, but don't curse in front of your mama. You know, I'm old school that way. Don't curse in front of your mom. And to me, that's not even old school. That's just common sense. Like, damn, this woman carried you.
Old school, they smoking with their mama. Now they in the club.
Well, see, that's another level right there. In the club with your mama, really another.
I got. You know what? Even somebody my
grandma, 12 years old. Right. You older than your grandma.
I know somebody my age. Somebody my age that's been in the club with their mama. That's my word. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Well, I say this.
They're from Wilmington, North
my
Carolina.
daughter, my oldest daughter, been in the club with me, and to her that was like just great. I went to the club with my dad.
I can see that.
Right before she could even old enough to go to the club, she was 20. But I convinced the people in there, the bouncers, to let her in. Mm-hmm. And they said,
it's not the worst thing for a young girl. Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah.
And she was able to see when dudes, you know, were coming up, like, hey, you know, and they look. They said, oh, can I dance with your daughter? I said, sure, she wants to. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah, I dance with. And so Mug started getting a certain respect level, right? Mm-hmm. And then she was dancing with one guy, and another guy comes over, and then somebody who I know, I was there with other folks, right, tells me, I don't go to clubs, y'all know that. I was there for somebody's birthday. They come over and tell me with the guy, it was a sister who was trying to cause a ruckus. He was just trying to dance with your daughter. I said, well, my daughter's beautiful, so that makes sense. And instead of this dude listening to how I'm responding, because she brought him over there, he said, well, it's a problem? I hit him in the chest. Oh, it's no problem, man. You know me and you, we cool. Oh, hit him in the chest again. I'm talking to him. What I'm saying don't mean nothing. It's what I'm doing. Man, you know me and you cool.
You chill out.
And then he said, all right, I'm sorry. He walked off. So the bouncers, even they looking, they just, I'm saying, me and you cool. I don't know that fool, and he don't know, but he knows this here. But that means, like, dude, it'll get worse. I'm putting my hands on you. I don't know you, so it can get worse. You know what I mean? So because I was like, trying to be diplomatic for him. She beautiful. That's fine. And if he had said, "Well, sir, I didn't know, it's your daughter, blah blah blah. I would like to dance with it if it's okay with you and if it's okay with her. If it's okay with her, sure." But that wasn't his story, right? He wasn't like the other. There was two others who came like with respect. So it's always that got to be a respect level there anyway. But let's get to so the stages of grief. When a person that we care about dies, and nowadays with social media that we don't care about dies, we just see it. We feel grief, and there are certain stages that we go through. We won't necessarily go through all these stages or in this order, but we will go through at least one, usually more than one, if we're truly in grief. Okay? So the first one, and we say stage one, but it's denial. That's when we pretend the loss, and it don't even have to be just death. It could be loss of a family heirloom, or breakup of a relationship, right? We first pretend the loss or change isn't happening.
My friend lost his brother. I was there when he got the news, and his mama told me he's in the front living room, and he left out, came back with the vacuum cleaner and started vacuuming.
And the reason why we do that, denying, it gives us time to gradually absorb the news, right? So I can't do this, I got to do such and such. And me working,
exactly.
That's exactly
when my father when my father died, it was really denial. I'm doing something else to give myself time to deal with it and process it. And even when I had to send the thing off, it was days. I knew exactly what I was going to say, but it was days before I did it, right? Because once you do it, you accept it that he's dead. So as you move out of denial, the emotions you've been hiding, they'll begin to rise. And that's scary for a lot of us, right? You'll be confronted with a lot of sorrow that you've denied up until that point. Right, so once you accept it, a lot of sorrow is going to be there, and just know that it's there, right? So denial is one of the stages. It's one of the early stages that we have in a person's days.
One of the next stages, not next, but another stage is anger. I think that's popular too, depending on how the person is. But so when denial where denial may be considered a coping mechanism, anger is a masking effect. Anger is used to hide many of the emotions and pain that you carry. It may be redirected to other people, such as the person who died, your ex or your old boss, and that's what I mean. Like it's funny because I just went through this. The first thing when a person was telling me about our friend that died, they were telling me angrily. It was like, man, this fool gonna mess around and blah blah blah, man. I can't believe he got himself killed. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that was. He was angry. You know what I'm saying? At the person for dying. You know what I'm saying? And that's really just I mean masking because you really sorrow. You're in sorrow, really. You really grieve. So while your rational brain knows the object of your anger isn't to blame, your feelings in that moment are too intense to be rational. And that's why you're able to be mad at the person that's dead or whoever. Anger may mask itself in feelings like bitterness or resentment. It may not be clear-cut fury or rage. And that's important to realize too. Not everyone will experience this stage, and some may linger here. As the anger subsides, however, you may begin to think more rationally about what happened and feel the emotions you've been pushing aside after a while. That anger, can you carry all that up?
A lot of that happens during breakups in a relationship. folks angry. You know, they may be angry at the child that they had together because the child looks like the father, looks like the mother, or they just dealing with all the bad. So and so, and this so and so. So you're talking about the person angrily. Usually, you know, especially if it's like divorce or anything, ain't nothing good being said about the person, especially to their friends.
Right.
Anger, you know, all this anger, and let the person deal with that anger for a while because they're really hiding something else.
Right.
What they really feeling. Eventually, they'll get to what they really feel. They may not tell you, but in their mind, they get to what they really feel. There's also the stage of bargaining. In that stage, you'll find yourself creating a lot of what if and if only statements. You know, if God, if, and you usually bargaining with God, or you know, if you heal my uncle, if you just do so and so, I change God, I'll do so and so. You know, and it really, when you hear that, you think it's a form of desperation. It's really not. It's grief. It's the way we handle it. We're trying to heal through. Even the person dies, you know, you just take this pain away from me, God. You know, my mother, when she had a stroke in 1996, she said to God, God, just let me make it to the year 2000, and I will do only good, right? And she had been striving to do only good all her life, but she just, you know, now she got a bargain.
Right.
And then when she made it to the year 2000, well, she told me in 2002, that's what she told me that she said, when I made it to the year 2000, I said, well, God, well, she said, when I made it past the year 2000, I said, well, God, you let me make it past. Maybe I shouldn't have been trying to bargain and just live my life, right? You know, just keep doing what I was doing, you know. But it was really the grief of going through. You can't walk anymore. All of that, and you're trying to bargain. Just let me, because nothing was to say she was gonna die.
Right.
But it was really the grief of not being able to walk no more. My mother was always very active, always traveling the country or the world, and now things change, right? So there's that bargaining in there, you know. It's lost. Sometimes, you know, God, just let this man treat my daughter right when they get married, because she's really grieving. She's lost her daughter. Her daughter's no longer her baby. It's no longer immediate family no more. And if we don't know it consciously, we subconsciously know that. You know, so that kind of bargaining will happen in that. It's a line of defense to be able to deal with your emotions.
When bargaining, I'm not sure if you might consider this. It could be denial also, but I find that for me at least, it's easier if I get a chance to actually pay my respects to the person, or you know, even if I guess even if I don't necessarily get to go to a funeral, doing something to focus on paying respects to a person. There's sort of a thing in my family where there's this thing where people don't like funerals, which I always find odd because, you know, no one likes funerals. No one wants to go to a funeral.
Some old ladies, I think, like funerals.
Okay.
They
Right.
go there just to get that extra act on.
Right.
You know,
That's what I was gonna say.
she always pointed that
Right.
other old ladies know who she is too. Look at her
Right.
always famous. Anyway.
I feel like that could be part of bargaining also, because, you know, you're trying to reason in your head. You know, maybe it's part of denial too, but you're telling yourself, well, I really don't like funerals. So, you know, even though this has happened and, you know, this person who was close to me,
I would go, but
yeah, but I don't like funerals. You know, it's like you're trying to reason out something that's not necessarily the most reasonable thing, you know.
absolutely.
I think it's important that you kind of touched on this, that we're talking about dealing with death, and it doesn't have to mean the physical death of a person,
Right.
because there's death of relationships. You know what I'm saying?
Loss is death.
Loss
It's
is
death
death.
of something else.
You know,
Um,
a lot of New Orleans people when they came here was dealing with grief, loss in different ways. Some
Right,
lives,
big
some of their
city.
property.
rape is death. It's murder of the spirit.
Mm.
So there are a lot of things. So you'll see these same steps in
Okay.
certain things.
You know, so now I gotta look at it. When I got robbed, I felt grief because I felt like
Absolutely.
I lost a certain. I don't know what it is, but it's like I lost, like when somebody breaking your house.
Right, exactly.
It's like
You were violated,
you
right.
lost something, and that feels kind of.
You lost safety. You probably lost items.
Yeah, I don't want to equivalent. I don't want to make that the same as rape. But when your house is robbed or you've been robbed, you feel like something's been taken from you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's not
Literally.
physical rape, but something has been and you're vulnerable now, where you never thought about being vulnerable again. So I just wanted to point out that these steps you can use for loss, period, and don't get trapped in the thinking we're just talking about. So the next one thing we're going to talk about is depression. Like the other stages of grief, depression can be difficult and very messy. It can feel overwhelming. It can make you feel foggy, heavy, and confused. And one thing I want to talk about depression is important to talk about this because as Black folks, we are all dealing with depression.
Yes.
And the one thing you need to realize about depression, because depression can make you think you're going crazy. And one of the reasons is because and make sure I'm saying this right, is epicidal. Is that what you said? Would you say epicidal? Is that right? Epicidal. It comes in episodes.
Well,
Episode.
Episodal. Is that it?
Yes.
She's looking kind of questioning.
I was going to say episodic, but that's
Episodic.
Yeah. Wow. You know, yeah.
Okay,
I'm Black.
got three different ones.
Right. It's episodic. You're right.
It's episodes.
Right.
But it comes.
Episodic.
Let's just say it comes in episodes.
I think episodal is a word though, but you know.
I think all three of them may be words. I'm not gonna say
Now,
mine.
epicidal means you have some apple cider. A lot of time. Apple cider.
Episodes are suicidal. Now, it comes in episodes. So depression, meaning I may be going through depression, but I don't recognize it because right now I'm happy. While we having class, say for instance, I've went through depression, but when I'm in class, when I'm training, I'm at peace. I'm happy and I'm feeling great, and my comrades around, so I'm laughing, I'm joking, and it's all pounds and joy. And then I go home and then I'm sad, and I'm like, damn, what's up? And then class come back around, I'm happy again, and then back to class, and
Genuinely.
right. I'm talking to friends, and you talking in 1 minute, you cool, you get off the phone. You talking to somebody else, and it's not the same.
Well, I tell you this. My wife goes, y'all know that, she goes to Africa like twice a year. When she first gone, say, Yami, my youngest, is in Chicago with my mama.
Mm-hmm.
At first, the first day or so, I'm happy in the mug. It's just me and I get all kinds of stuff done. After that, it's like, I mean, even to the point this time, I was like, Yami, because Yami stayed the summer with my mother. I said, Yami needs to come on home. She's been there long enough. She needs to. So my mother's like, I'm just scared to be there. That kind of thing, right? My family is always had a sense of humor. I said, no, Ma, not scared. And she said, oh, you lonely? And I said, yeah, I'm lonely. And Yami didn't want to come. So she said, okay, I'm coming, Dad. And then my oldest daughter sends me a message, says, Dad, Yami don't want to stay, but she really want to stay. I'm saying, I'm tired of this woman stuff. Change your mind. Once you get that, that's that, denial. You change your mind. I'm tired of this woman stuff. I said, go ahead and do what you're going to do. And so she said, you sure, Dad? I said, yeah, stay. I was lonely as hell, and I'll say it now, and Debbie kept calling, checking on me because she felt bad. I said, don't feel bad. It's okay. You could have told me. You could have told me.
He sending group messages.
And so, I was like, well, something else bad. Yeah, I'm messaging everybody all the time. They ain't saying nothing.
I'm like, texting group.
Yeah, I said, check the messages in the text, right? Because I was lonely as heck. So that's the depression part, right? But the first couple of days, I was on cloud 9. I'm writing, I'm working out, I'm doing all. And so Ade came home because Ade was out of town too. He getting ready to go off to college, right. His second year, but finally on campus. And so he had gone to Chicago. He was in Chicago too with my cousins because he loves the Chicago part of our family. Loves them, boy. So loves them. So he comes home because he knows that ain't joking. He lonely. Right? So he comes home and he's there, and so I was cool. We going to the gym and all that kind of stuff, right? So he rescued me, but from my depression.
Shout out to Ade.
Shout out to Ade. He a man now, and he's showing man things like that. So
it's beautiful.
So depression may feel like the inevitable result of any loss, like you just supposed to feel that, and maybe it's a stage you should go through. You definitely shouldn't stay there. So if you can't seem to move past that stage of grief, make sure you talk to a mental health expert, therapist. They can help you work through that period. So it's really, really important, man. I know we as Black folks are starting to get a little better with that. Us as Black men are starting to get a lot better with that. It's something that we have to do. We got to start talking more about the things that we're going through.
I went to a psychologist trying to get, not a crazy check, but get a disability check, right? And was jacked up. The disability I had, it came from having strokes. So y'all know I don't have no deficit, but I was trying to get disabilities. Hey, don't try it, folks. I'm not recommending you do this. I was trying to get it, and they said, well, go to the lawyer said, we're going to set you up with a psychologist. I said, I ain't trying to get no crazy check because I'm not taking no medicine and all of that. Said, no, just, go and talk to him, right? And so I went in my mind just to, pull this thing off to get some money, which didn't work. But I actually needed to talk to somebody. And they discovered that I had 2 things that I can absolutely agree with. One was adjustment disorder. It's common with people who were in the military, where this is the plan to do this. Don't change this shit up on me. I can adjust. Boy. I'm taught to adjust, but boy, it gets to me. Don't change it up on me. Or we know we're doing this, and my wife loves to do this because her mind works differently, way different from mine. We're doing this. She said, well, I'm gonna stop over here right now. I mean, we supposed to be doing so and so, right? So I had that, and I had depression. Now the psychologist said you have mild depression. Go to the psychiatrist because go to a psychiatrist also, and she says he has severe depression. The reason the psychiatrist says that so they can recommend medicine. It's money.
Exactly.
I said, okay, yeah, all right, well, okay. Damn what you saying. I'm right there saying, oh, damn what you talking about. She was insulted. Boy, she was mad.
Trichloroquine.
But the psychologist said, no. So the psychologist says to me, but go on, man, go on, take the medicine, man. I said, no. I said, that medicine gives you iterative thoughts. That means thoughts of suicide. I said, it gives you iterative thoughts. He said, yeah, but it's only a 2% chance. I said, 2% chance I kill myself? Brother, that's too much for me. I don't know. That's not acceptable. I said, so it's got to be something. He said, well, then forget the medicine. Just eat microbiotic foods. I said, you couldn't tell me that in the first place? And that's why I stopped going to them. They know that right from jump. You eat microbiotic foods, it will do the same thing that this medicine does, but not cause side effects and not make you want to kill yourself. Right.
They're on code.
They're on code, yes. Doctors together, yes, they're on code. Yes. All right. So the final stage is acceptance. If you want to call it the final stage, and usually it is the final stage in how the stuff works. That's not necessarily a happy ending, right? But that's not normally a happy ending. It's not a happy ending, but it means you move past the grief now. Okay, you finally move past that grief. Not so much past it forever, but you've accepted it, right? So the other stages are not hitting you like that. You said, this is what happened. I lost this. I lost this loved one. I lost this item. I lost this freedom. I lost this thing. Acceptance comes, right? And you understand what it means for your life now.
I feel like acceptance will allow you to grieve in spurts sometimes. You can
Right, it's not completely. So when
right.
when I say move on,
no, I
you move forward, really,
right.
not move on.
You're not stuck there, and every now and then you're still gonna grieve. You're still gonna have those emotions.
Right. So I'll tell you. So every birthday, every one of my father's birthday was June 22nd. So when he transitioned, it was 8 months before I even posted anything online about his transition. I wasn't trying to get no clout, likes, none of that.
Right.
How do my father died? What do you like about that?
Yeah,
so
I don't even know what to do.
So you putting people in a weird position when you do that anyway, right? Yeah. So his birthday, I'll post his picture or something like that. But I still don't be like, he died, he was murdered. I post his picture. The person, I'll leave it alone. I'm not saying the hints because family members watching. I don't want to give hints to who murdered my father.
But they do not speak about that a lot. I just want to say,
right.
I heard you maybe say the word murder one time before today.
Yes, because this person is still around in a certain capacity. Sometimes they're brilliant artisans, so they do certain work for certain folks. And to bring it up and to go into those thoughts, I would, do certain things that I really don't want to do right now. So those are the stages of grief. You say, oh, you know the person who murdered him? Knowing a thing and being able to prove a thing is two different things. Okay? Because, it's some slick people who are smart in how they do what they do. They know how to do what they do, but certain things show. That person, I saw that person, I wore clothes that I got all my daddy's suits and stuff like that. I wore some of his clothes, and when I saw that dude, the dude saw me like that. Because he thought he had seen my father again. Terrified. Right. And that's when my wife, who knew about it, she looked and said, he did it. It was just clear. Right. So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, this was I think this was a great show. I think it was much needed. I just wanted to say, I just came from a funeral, and they can tell you, the past 2 weeks I've lost like 3 to 4 people, and maybe in the past, and we've all lost people, but in this past 2 years I've probably lost about 30 people. And when I say that, I mean like I come from the country and a community. Like I come from a place that has a name for the community. I didn't just live in a subdivision. I stayed in a real community, grew up with people. I still know the older folks, the younger folks. So there was a whole group of guys that I grew up with. And let's just say now it's probably like 50% of my neighborhood has died. You know what I'm saying? The people that I grew up with. So I've had to deal with this, and I thank Baba for teaching this right here earlier. We have a instructors class where instructors go for our own schooling and everything. So we've dealt with this on certain levels, and which has kind of allows me and Ifa, to be honest with you, allows me the understanding of death. So that's one thing that makes it easier. You understand death, and then you get to realize that it's more about yours. I don't want to say your selfishness of wanting them to be there with you, You know what I'm saying? But basically, that's what everything is about. You want them, you want to see them, you wanted to tell them. You know what I'm saying? That's usually what all the grief and depression is usually about, what you didn't do and the things you want. You know what I'm saying? So if you can get out past yourself, it's a lot easier to deal with what death actually is. And a lot of times, situations where our people pass, you know, we didn't want them to suffer. We want them to be here, but we didn't want them to be in the situation they were in. So being able to acknowledge those truths helped me. Because I didn't know. I was like, man, am I going to be able to talk about this? I just, my aunt, my first cousin, and one of my closest friends in all last week. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still dealing with that. There's going to be times where I'm going to grieve and I'm going to feel. But understanding is the most powerful thing to help you deal with this stuff. I just want to get that out.
And
we said if I cried, you weren't going to laugh at me. So it didn't happen. You didn't come close.
Camera.
Right. You know, put this black shield over. So in order to, one thing that I want us to do is go to the store, get you some mint or some other candy that dissolves easily. You know, vegan, get you some, vegan sandpaper chips or whatever, you know, it is. You go, find you some kind of vegan candy or whatever it is that will dissolve. Okay? And what you do is you put that candy in your mouth. When you put that candy in your mouth, you think about your loved one. And the loved one is that candy. So as we're sucking the candy, it's all the sweet things that we remember about that loved one. We're tasting it. We're absorbing that, right? And then the candy dissolves. It's all the sweet things. The candy's gone, but the sweet taste is still on our mouth. And that is what death is. That all that the person did, all of our experiences with them are still there, even though they're physically gone. Okay. So they're the candy, right? It's the sweet things. And everything wasn't sweet. All those experiences are there, but it makes who they were and who they are. And it makes them for you. So just always remember that that they're always with you.
That's a great
Okay.
freaking ending, Bob. Dang.
So
I wanted to add on to something, but I don't want to do it. I want to run this. This is good. This is good.
that's it. So we thank you all.
Thank you.
Next episode we'll do something happier.
Right. We'll get back to TV. I know y'all sitting there like they ain't gonna.
Right.
We're like, it don't seem right to do quick kills after we talk about death.
Right, exactly. You know, this is how you stomp a person's head after we can talk about death.
Right. You still thinking about your cousin that passed.
Right. So, you know, we thank you all. Go forward and have a good day, a relaxed day.
Take your time.
Take your time and move forward. Keep moving forward. Right. And breathe. Yes. Oh, another thing, I will end with this. We talked about it before, the warrior's breath or warrior breathing. Whenever you are afraid or you're stressed out or what have you, breathe in, keep your eyes open. A lot of times people deep breathe, they want to close their eyes. Not in this instance. Keep your eyes open. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4.
You're a warrior. You ain't closing your eyes.
Breathe out for 4. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Breathe out for 4. And do that as many times as you need. And that gives you control of your emotions. And then you're centered and ready to act. Okay. All right. Love y'all. Once again, y'all haven't been letting us know what techniques you're interested in. So what I'm gonna have to do now is write a book, Warriors Class book, right? The Warrior Class book. I'm actually writing it right now, just truth be told. Once I'm done, the person that gives us the most challenging self-defense scenario,
okay,
I'll get him a free book.
Don't get crazy. Don't get ridiculous now.
Yeah, they're not crazy. Like, you know, if 200 cops are kneeling on your back,
right?
How do you get out? You don't. If 200, and you got a big back, and 200 cops are dealing on it.
If
but
it's the Chinese police, you could.
Well, the Chinese police, because they got those little Chinese police got those little knees, so you may get 200 of them on that. I'm sorry, Chinese folks, don't get mad at me. That's just a joke. All right, y'all.
More sensitive. Stop Asian hate.
I know. Stop Asian hate.
Keep hating niggas though.
Yeah, right. Keep hating niggas, but stop Asian hate. Ridiculous. All right, love y'all. Stay black. Peace.
So fly